Well, the Russian army is about to get their second installment of the S-400 air defense system. This is according to the TASS news agency. Look at that sucker. Oh my God, that thing is a deadly, deadly device. TASS news agency reports that this year's second regiment, the S-400 Triumph air defense missile system, has been transferred to the Russian Defense Ministry ahead of schedule. That's according to the press service of the JSC Almaz Atani, the S-400 manufacturer, who issued the report on Monday. Quote, fulfilling its state defense order obligations, the JSC concern Almaz Atani has passed to the Russian Defense Ministry ahead of time another regiment of the S-400 Triumph air defense missile systems. I mean, this thing can take out ballistic missiles, it can take out jets, it can even defeat stealth technology. This thing is a very dangerous weapon. Just as the Russians are deploying S-400 regiments to their troops, the United States Air Force is now calling on defense firms for new nuclear cruise missiles.
Division in South Korea's National Assembly. Lawmakers have held a forum to decide whether Seoul should develop nuclear weapons. Conservative lawmakers say the country needs to develop its own nuclear deterrent due to the threat posed by North Korea.
Critics argue such developments could have catastrophic consequences.
The intensity of the arms race on the Korean peninsula is linked with the possibility of war. If South Korea arms itself with nuclear weapons, not only will the arms race escalate, but the decision is likely to spark a war, a third nuclear world war.
Washington Seoul's annual military drills, which will begin later this month, have already provoked North Korea. Some suggest as a potential response to the joint military drills, South Korea's hawks could gain traction with a fifth nuclear test from Pyongyang. Discussion of South Korea's armament with nuclear weapons seems to have entered the public sphere. But that talk is not cheap, as countries in the region will no doubt monitor these developments with the potential for a regional nuclear arms race, increasing tension in East Asia.
According to a report by the Arms Control Association, Pakistan has more nuclear warheads than India. The threat assessment brief says India has 118 warheads, while Pakistan possesses 130 and China an estimated 180. But India's nuclear arsenal is growing. It is believed that New Delhi has produced some 540 kilograms of weapon-grade plutonium that is enough for up to 180 warheads. India has developed a wide range of missiles. Some have a range of some 5,200 kilometers and are capable of targeting China. But experts in India are worried about China's growing nuclear military power.
China has always been the big rival for at least 2 decades. Indian politicians and the Indian Foreign Affairs Ministry has been reluctant to address this issue openly in public. But in reality, the military establishment has always recognized this fact.
India and Pakistan have fought 3 wars over the Kashmir region. India has produced a number of small and medium-range missiles capable of targeting neighboring Pakistan. It is now creating a nuclear triad that will give it the capability to fire missiles from land, sea, and air. India's bid to join the nuclear suppliers group suffered a setback following Chinese opposition, as it wanted India to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Indian External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj clearly stated while New Delhi would maintain its commitment to the treaty, it will never sign it. India is planning to increase its nuclear warheads in the coming months and has a number of new nuclear-capable missiles in various stages of development as it faces increasing competition from Pakistan and China.
China says the looming shadow of the U.S. is trying to undermine its political stability. And China has a warning for its neighbors. Those pursuing independence could create the next Syria or Iraq. Responding to pro-democracy movements in Hong Kong and Taiwan, China released this propaganda video, which told protesters to cut it out because they were risking the country's future. The video claims some of these movement leaders are getting their cash flow from the US, like 19-year-old Joshua Wong, Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement leader, who's often raised eyebrows in communist China. His party was quick to deny the claims. And while the US was the main country criticized in the video, it's not the only one. Japan and the Philippines were also called out next to a spread of images of the South China Sea.
The new National Security Council Act allows Malaysia's Prime Minister to declare any area of the country a security zone in the face of a situation that's considered a threat to national security. Within that zone, security forces and police would not need warrants to carry out searches and seizures, and they and government officials would be granted immunity for any and all actions.
It's really a worrying development. It gives unprecedented amount of powers to the Prime Minister. It's a whole set of new powers vested in one person, and there's no check and balance to this powers given to him. And that's the biggest concern, because it opens the room for abuse.
Malaysian police say there has been one successful attack here, inspired by the Islamic State militant group, or ISIL, a grenade attack on a bar that injured 8 people. A couple of hundred local supporters of the group have also been detained over the past 2 years, while dozens of others have gone to fight with ISIL in the Middle East. And Malaysian Borneo has faced armed foreign incursions.
The Rio de Janeiro has faced many security concerns in the lead up to this year's Olympics. Now, some Brazilian people are allegedly making a game of predicting when the Rio Games will be hit by a terrorist attack. The bingo-like game supposedly has players pick dates on a card. Photos of the game's tickets are being widely shared on social media around the country, but it's not clear if they are real. Some people say the whole thing is just a very dark internet meme.
Has released a new issue of its online magazine, and it's titled Break the Cross. It includes an article called Why We Hate You and Why We Fight You. The writer includes several points, including, we hate you first and foremost because you are disbelievers. You reject the oneness of Allah, whether you realize it or not. By making partners for him in worship, you blaspheme against him, claiming that he has a son. And at the end, he says, the fact is, even if you were to stop bombing us, imprisoning us, torturing us, vilifying us, and usurping our lands, we would continue to hate you, because our primary reason for hating you will not cease to exist until you embrace Islam. Nigeria's Boko Haram has a new leader, and he's threatening to bomb churches and kill Christians in the area. In an interview published by the Islamic State, the new leader says he will end attacks on mosques and focus on Christian regions. In the past, the group has attacked crowded Muslim marketplaces and kidnapped and killed school children. Nigeria's president is working with multinational forces to fight the group. Meanwhile, President Obama is assessing the fight against the Islamic State in Libya. He will meet with the military and national security advisors to discuss a new approach at defeating the group.
Israeli officials accused a senior international aid worker of funneling millions of dollars from a charity into the pockets of designated terrorist organization Hamas. Mohammed El-Halabi was charged with funding terrorism after law enforcement said he misappropriated more than $7 million per year from the Christian charity World Vision. Estimates say the total adds up to at least $43 million. The funds were supposedly designated for the residents of Gaza. El-Halabi reportedly started fake projects, listed Hamas agents as the workers, and overcharged the charity, diverting around 60% of the project funding to Hamas's military wing. An Israeli military officer said El-Halabi confessed to the crime, but both Hamas and World Vision are denying the accusations. World Vision said it has no reason to think the accusations are accurate. It also pointed out that as a charity, it's subject to regular internal and independent audits to ensure its funding goes where it's supposed to. A Hamas spokesman said the organization had no connection to Halabi and, therefore, all Israeli accusations are void and aim to suppress our people. El-Halabi was arrested in June, but Israel put a gag order on the trial, so it's unknown how he pled in court.
In Myanmar, an unknown disease has taken the lives of at least 30 children in the Naga region since June. The outbreak only seems to affect children below 5 years old and only shows the symptoms of difficulty in breathing. A local official said that the government has not sent any medical help since the mysterious disease started to affect the people. Until now, the disease remains unidentified and appears to be highly contagious. To prevent contagion, authorities have temporarily banned people from traveling around the area.
As Central Africa deals with its worst outbreak of yellow fever in decades, families wait in lines like this in Congo's capital, Kinshasa, for potentially life-saving vaccines. The World Health Organization and its suppliers have shipped millions of vaccines to the region to stop the spread. There is no treatment for yellow fever, a virus that attacks the liver and kidneys. 20% of patients die.
When I fell ill, I noticed that my eyes and my urine were very yellow.
In the current outbreak, there are now about 5,000 suspected cases and have been at least 450 deaths across Angola and Congo.
Nowadays, there is a lot of illness because there aren't enough vaccines.
Congo fumigation teams spray for mosquitoes which transmit the disease as millions await vaccination.
Her son thought he had the flu, but just 14 hours later, he was dead. Ryan Miley was just 18 years old when he died of meningitis.
And ever since then, his family and others have been fighting for required immunizations for students.
Right, for the first time this school year, Ohio students are required to get the shot, and it's news that brought tears to mom Frankie Millie's eyes. Ryan Millie went from a successful high school senior and aspiring professional golfer to an emergency room patient in a matter of hours.
We started to see blood come from his eyes, his ears. This is less than 14 hours from his first sign or complaint or anything. Less than 14 hours.
Doctors told Millie her son had contracted meningitis. They waited at his bedside as his heart flatlined and told him that they loved him. 2 years ago, we spoke with the family of Becky Werner, who also died of meningitis as a teen.
By 9 o'clock that night, she was gone.
Pediatric doctors like Lolita McDavid welcome the new requirement.
I have taken care of children and adults with meningitis, and it's no joke.
Although it's important to note that parents can provide evidence of philosophical reasons for declining the shot. Doctors like McDavid warn that parents should think twice about how easily the disease can spread, most often through saliva. Meanwhile, Millie says she'd do anything to turn back time and have Ryan vaccinated.
A health alert is out for a deadly meningitis outbreak. It's hit L.A. and Orange counties. The virus is sweeping the gay and bisexual community. CBS 2's Serene Branson explains the urgency for vaccinations.
You might have a little arm soreness for a day or two after the vaccine.
Mark Muehlman of Orange decided to get the meningococcal vaccine.
Well, that's the way to protect myself from meningitis, and with it going around in the community, wanted to make sure that I was protected.
Orange County health officials are urging all gay and bisexual men in monogamous relationships or not to get the vaccine after a recent outbreak.
It's not been
only men who have sex with men, but predominantly. And so that's the group we're recommending to come in and get the vaccine to try to help to protect them.
Detected in LA and Orange counties earlier this year, Orange County saw 3 cases in the past week, 6 cases since June. 2 previously healthy people have died.
We normally in the county of Orange have less than 5 cases a year. We've had 6 in the last 2 months. So that's clearly more than usual.
There was also mosquito spraying today in parts of South Florida besides Wynwood. We were in Pinecrest this morning as mosquito crews went through several neighborhoods. And while the government insists all of the pesticides being used are safe, for people with compromised health, there are understandably a lot of questions.
Now, the new U.S. government says that one of the key insecticides, called Nalid, can be used without posing a risk to people. But for starters, absolutely, there should be no direct exposure during or immediately after spraying.
From scientists to residents to vacationers, all eyes are looking up at what's coming down. Aerial aerosol spraying took off this morning from 6 to 7 a.m. in the arsenal the government's rolling out to fight the Zika virus. The target, adult mosquitoes. 10 square miles with the Wynwood area at the center. What's in the droplets? The chemical Nalid. Dr. Naresh Kumar, professor of public health, University of Miami.
All are neurotoxin, meaning it will directly affect our nervous system.
The doctor says the benefit needs to outweigh the risk, which any neurotoxin carries.
Might pregnant women also have reason to be concerned to be exposed to this neurotoxin?
Very good, yes. Yeah, it will have or affect not only the pregnant woman. It is also equally deadly for children who have asthma and airway disease, because when you are spraying in the air, these aerosols stay in the air for at least 5 days.
Application and amount critical, according to Miami-Dade County. They call the amount of insecticide sprayed as very minuscule, quote, and when used in such small amounts, does not pose a health risk to people or pets in the area to be sprayed. Nevertheless, residents and visitors who may have a health concern should remain indoors during aerial spraying.
If you felt a shake in the Susanville area late last night, you are not alone. A 4.5 magnitude earthquake was reported in the area. The U.S. Geological Survey says it hit just before 10 o'clock, about 19 miles southeast of Janesville. The effects were reported impacting as far as Grass Valley and Nevada City. The Lassen County Sheriff's Office said there have been no reports of injuries or damage. The quake was followed by multiple aftershocks, 2 of 4 magnitude and 1 of 2.8.
We are